Right, today I am making some pipe tobacco and I'm making it dark fired. Got frogs in my throat because I've just got up. So I've stripped down this Virginia and this can go in the smoking box. Smells quite cinnamony. And that is kind of like the equivalent to Viso Seco on my straggly Virginia plant that's growing in the corner of the yard. So basically the smoke or the vacuum comes out here, and that's from my siphon. And hold on, I'll just get this in and I'll show you how I set it up. So anyway, this is the Burley. See how fine and straggly it is, and it's no good for wrappers, it's just too thin. And this is just bits of Burley and bits of Virginia as well. And it's quite damp. It came out of the fermenter last night, and I just wanted it to even out basically. So I just unbend all these bits here. But anyway, once I've got that done, what I do is this box here, this is the lid, has got a hole in the middle and then a magnet, and when it gets hot it sticks with the tar that's coming through the hole, so that's good. And then I've got the end of an old pipe creamer or whatever you call it, pipe squirter, and put some mesh in the bottom of that, and that is my burning cone. And then I fill this up with chips, and then I put this little tea strainer on top like that, and then I torch it, and then I hook it up to the siphon. So I'll show you that once I've got it all set up outside. So she's all in the box there. What I like to do is make a little pot here out of tin foil just to catch any smoky drips that might drip because of the moisture, and I don't want it running through all sticky and on an even coating. So the next thing I have to do is slide this up here. It's very hard to shoot it and do it with one hand. Get it on like that, and then I've got to go around with some sellotape, and I've got to sellotape all the joins to make sure there's no air leaks. So I've got the smoking cone lit. Here's my vacuum. This is my siphon. So all I do is cover the end and slowly draw the smoke up and through the box. And I'll do this probably about 10 cones. Make it nice and strong. So 10 cones of chips, and I have to wait half an hour between each one, just to let it settle into the leaves. So this could take up to 2.5 hours. So what I'm going to do is get a good decent smoke on it, and then I'm just going to go into town and do my normal stuff and come back and do another few. So this is how I make my dark fired Burley, dark fired anything, smoked, whatever you want to call it. Same principle, it's just that I'm not lighting a fire in the bottom of a barn. Very, very, very slow, so that we're burning a very, very cold flame. Don't want any sharp smoke coming through, it makes it taste acrid. You want nice fresh wood. So that's how I do it. Well, the smoking has been done, and my little drip catcher has worked, so I'm glad that's not sitting on the bottom of the tobacco. You can see it's the wettest where the smoke comes in, and it's driest where it leaves. This is just right, probably a bit too damp actually. And then I'm going to stick it in the fermenter in a jar, and it can ferment for probably another 2-3 weeks. even though it's already fermented tobacco. Or I might just, leave it to amalgamate and get all juicy and stuff. I'm probably going to squish it up and slice it in a couple of days' time. But so far, as you can see, the smoke has made things all nice and stinky. It smells amazing at the moment. Yum, 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 yum. So that's it, done. Alright, next step. So it's been about 3 hours. And my back's crook. Can't wait till I have my MRI, that's for sure. Not that it'll tell me anything that I don't already know. So now we've got steam build up. Not too much steam, that's pretty good. And I'm just going to have to open this up and let the steam out and let it waft in front of a fan. Because what happens is the smoke is very, very pungent and very volatile at this stage because it's all locked inside a jar. So what you need to do is open the jar and let the very strong, easily volatile smoke flavours to come off. And I usually, when I smoke it, I over smoke it because I know that by the time I take the jar off and let it dry out and evaporate, and it's going to become milder. And I'll just give it a sniff. Oh, that's quite sharp. That's volatile. So we're just going to put it in front of a fan and let some of the gases come out. And I'm going to keep degassing it. I suppose I'll call it degassing. And I'm going to do this for maybe a week. So I'm drying out my chilies. I've just made some clove cigarettes, like I remember Samporna cigarettes used to be, that the Asians used to smoke when I was at school. So what I do, I just stick this in front of the fan and I dry off all of that water that you can see there. Beads of water. Let all the gases come out. I'll put the lid back on and we'll go back into the fermenter, and I'll probably do this for a week, 2 weeks, I don't know, until it smells the way I want it to smell. Looking pretty yummy. So I've taken the tobacco out of the jar. Some of it is very, very crispy and dry. That's the bean, like these bits here, and that's because they've been close to the light bulb. This is very crispy. So I need to now mix it up and make sure that it is very evenly, like I've got damp leaves here and crispy ones here. Just mix it up really, really nice and evenly, and then I'm going to pack it very, very tightly in the jar, and then I'm going to keep it away from the light bulb and get it to nice and hydrate again. So I need to add a little bit more moisture, probably only about 2 teaspoons. And what I've got here is some second use brandy, oak. So what that means is I've used this oak twice to make brandy, and what I do between each time that I use it is bake it in the oven. So this here is some oak that's come out of some brandy that I've made, and then I've dried it out, put it in the oven, and I have toasted it till it is a medium to dark toast, and then I've put it in some 83% moonshine that I make, and I have stripped out the colour, and I've stripped out the vanillins, and because the proof is so high, it doesn't strip the tannin out of the wood, so you don't get a bitter taste like you would if you were using wine and oak. You would strip the tannin out of the oak, and then you would get a nice bitter taste in your wine. Well, in this case, this smells like cherry seeds and plums and molasses, a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of molasses, and what else? Vanilla, very strong on the vanilla, very strong on the vanilla. So I'm quite happy with this. and apricots. Yeah, so I love this stuff. So that's going to go about 2 teaspoons into this tobacco, and that will hydrate it, and then I will put it back in the fermenter in a jar. So this looks messy, but anyway, instead of putting the tobacco in the bowl and then putting some flavouring in it, it's not going to distribute very evenly amongst the tobacco, and you're going to have to massage it, which means you're breaking down all these leaves. So what I do, and I've always cased tobacco the same way without having to squash anything. So I've got maybe 2 teaspoons there of oak concentrate. Oh my lord, that smells good. And then I smear it around the bowl so that it basically coats as much of the surface of the bowl as possible. And that way, when you put the tobacco back in, when you tumble it, we're not going to massage it, we're not going to do any of this, we're going to tumble it. Tumble, 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 turn the bowl, tumble, 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 until everything is coated evenly. And that way, you don't get some wet leaves and some dry leaves. You get everything evenly coated. We smear it around, tumble it, turn the bowl, tumble, so it's nice and even. And then I'm going to put it back in the jar. And that way, this is going to have a very slight vanilla smell from the oak. So there we go, all jarred up and labelled, and back into the fermenter. So, a box and a light bulb. Doesn't get much simpler than that. And just as a reward, while my fingers are absolutely stinking of smoked tobacco, and it smells absolutely wonderful, I've got a bottle here of moonshine and cinnamon, and it is 2 weeks old now. So I've got cloves and cinnamon and 2 drops of vanilla. And I'm going to mix it on my hands and pick up the smoke on my hands and rub it on my arms. And it smells absolutely divine, like after-shaven tobacco. Yum.